Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit, a show where we discuss movies from our childhood, our nostalgia from watching them as kids, how they got made, and our experiences rewatching them as adults. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me as always, Matthew Pelton.
Hello. That was so beautiful. I haven't heard that in a while.
I know, we're back. We're back. It feels good.
We're back. I owe an apology. We were gone last week. There was a medical emergency. It was definitely Nick's fault.
Yep.
But I survived. Yeah, all Nick's bad. But I'm good, and we're back. It's been a while. I missed this show.
We're back. We're talking about a very special movie with our wonderful guest.
Very special guest as well.
Stewart Garniss.
Woo!
Hi.
For a second, I was like, do people think there's not a guest? He just wasn't speaking.
It's just a second voice that you make up.
Yeah. So Stewart, when I came to you for this show and I asked you what movie you wanted to pick, you said Spy Kids. Or no, you initially said
Hoodwinked.
Yes, which
the
and
iconic,
then you switched to Spy Kids.
way better.
Right.
Well,
Sure.
okay.
We'll
Let's not
get
trash
there.
on Hoodwinked. But at the same token, Spy Kids just has something that unlocks that early childhood. Like,
That's fair.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so what made you switch from Hoodwink to Spy Kids? Was
Yeah.
it just
Why
you
would
had
you
a
do
better
that?
connection with it as a kid?
Probably.
Okay.
Because I've seen all of them,
Yeah.
even the newer Spy Kids ones that came out. That's neither here nor there. I'm
Right.
not giving my opinion on those.
I'll give mine. I didn't like them.
I don't like them either.
Now, how many are there after this one?
I think I remember I've
3,
seen
4, 5?
I think
There's
I've
5?
seen 4 of them.
No, wait, 4 sequels or
Well,
4 in total?
there's 4 sequels totaling to 5.
So 5
There's the
movies.
first one, then there's the one with Steve Buscemi making that
Yeah.
crazy line about God. And then
Doesn't
the
he play
third,
the man or the dude or something?
no, that's the third one. The third
Oh,
one
sorry, my
has
bad.
the dude from Lord of the Rings, and he's
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, and he plays
He's in the third.
in the
Yeah,
third
he
one
is.
in 3D. He
Dude.
plays I am the guy
Yeah, he
in
plays
the
the
video
guy.
game one.
I didn't know
Isn't
that.
that wild?
And then they made the new one, the fourth one,
Yeah.
and
With new kids.
with new kids.
Yeah.
But the original
New
kids
Spy
made a
Kids.
cameo or something like that.
Oh,
And okay, all right, okay.
I think we should just
All right.
walk out.
You know what?
We quit.
Is it bathroom break time? And then I think they made a second one after that. But,
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I
just
I
don't know
forget
for
which
sure.
one it is, but one of them has Joe McHale in it.
Who's that?
He's the head guy in Community. Jeff.
Oh, yeah, okay,
He's
okay,
kind of a big
gotcha.
actor. I think he plays like the main villain.
This is blowing my mind. Also, watching this movie blew my mind with how many people showed up,
Well,
and I was
yeah.
like,
Dude,
"That's crazy."
I was
Especially
like-
there's a little ending cameo in there.
Yeah, I have it down in all caps, just his name, which we'll get to. But I wanted to say, quick before we start, I definitely want to do Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah, because
as
I
an
remember
episode.
that one more than Spy Kids
Same
1.
here.
Yeah.
And I remember in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl episode, I said that I remember this movie more than Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I remember 3D more than I remember this one. So 3D is like
Oh, really?
the end trilogy of Robert Rodriguez for this show because
Yeah, he's back.
They're all yeah, he's back. We're back. We're what?
Our first episode of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's the same
Yeah,
guy.
of course it was.
It's the
Of
same
course it
exact
was.
dude. Yeah.
That was like basically the pitch for the show
Yeah.
was any movie like this
true.
where it's just weird CGI, insane childhood memories, and then you
See-
revisit it and you're like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
See,
what is this?
Hoodwinked definitely had that, but
Yeah.
Spy Kids.
Yeah.
After seeing the thumb guys, I'm like,
my
whoa,
God.
okay, who thought of this?
I know.
Who thought of this?
Now keep in mind, going off the thumb guy for a second,
Yeah.
my memory with Shark Boy and Lava Girl, because it was our first episode, so it's a while ago, was that his kid came up with the whole idea.
Yes.
So what's his excuse for this one?
So okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Who needs an excuse for masturbation?
Dabbling a little bit into the production. He made this movie before Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
yeah, because this was 01.
This is 01.
Yes, I was literally
And-
turning 1 years old.
There was a quote that I
Year-old?
read.
Year
This
old.
is before
Year
this
old.
is before I was born.
Sorry, what?
This Robert Rodriguez, there was a quote that I read somewhere where this was like the first movie he made where he was like, I am transitioning into making movies about kids for kids from the mind of a kid. This was the
Oh,
first
okay.
one, which makes sense because
Yeah,
all of the
'cause-
ones that are similar to this are kind of the same.
Yeah, and this one's still relatively tame, especially compared to
Sure.
Shark Boy and Lava
Sure.
Girl. You know
But
what
I
mean?
think this one, he didn't go full blown, my kid's going to write the script, basically.
Thank God.
But this was the first one where he went to the studio and was like, listen, well, the studio being himself. He looked in the mirror because it's basically his own studio. So he looked in the mirror and was like, listen, bud, we're not some pretentious film bro from Emerson College.
No.
Yeah, but he basically transitioned from like kind of self-serious films into
More kid stuff.
kid-friendly stuff. But so yeah, if we wanna jump right into it, do you, Stewart, want to start with any childhood stories of this? Do you remember like where you saw it for the first time, or any specific thing when you think about this movie, it like triggers the nostalgia?
I mean, I think the first time I saw it, it wasn't in theaters or anything like that. It was like much years later because we were like 1 or whatever.
Yeah, we were
when
little.
It came out.
Yeah.
But I want to say it was because like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon in like the early 2000s, they would always have like a movie night type of situation. And they still do it now, but it's not to the same extent, might I say. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, get on that, please. And I think I saw it through Cartoon Network. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, interesting.
I would assume so.
Gotcha.
I can't remember.
I think that's also where I saw it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dang.
Because again, he's right.
It makes sense. I'm sure that's where I saw it too. I just have no recollection.
What's the thing? It's such a weird one because I think I've had this only once before on this show so far, but it's been around since we were turning 1.
Yeah.
So I've just grown up in a world where Spy Kids was always
it
existed.
exists, yeah.
So I couldn't tell you where I saw it.
Right.
But there was a good chance because you're right. Those Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network movie nights were a big deal when we were younger.
Oh, it was like the one thing that like really like brought me and my brothers to like
cool.
of course it was like you got the Monday morning cartoons that we would all be watching and this, that, and the other. But then it was just kind of like doing our own things until we would see some like, oh, the movie's on.
Yeah,
movie. Oh my God. Because that only happened like during Halloween. They would do like Halloween specials, Christmas specials, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was. I remember even like being in school and being like, hey, the new Halloween monster marathons on Cartoon Network tonight. Are you going to watch it? And be like, hell yeah, dude, let's go.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and I know Spike has got put on those many times.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My experience was like, I don't remember the network I saw it on because like I'm sure it was.
I think it's I have a vivid memory right now.
Yep.
I think it was through Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Only because I have the image in my mind that they went to the Nickelodeon award show and got slimed.
Oh, did they?
I think I could be totally. You know what? I gotta look this up.
Yeah. But so I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but it's one of these things where similar to Kermit Swamp Ears.
Yeah.
Where I have these like weird, like I know about this one scene, but I couldn't place like what movie it was.
It's just
from.
this weird
it kind of clicked this morning. So that's when I watched it.
So did I.
It kind of clicked this morning when I was rewatching it. Okay, it was him working on the brain.
Right.
And then
the third brain?
The thumb. Yeah. Yeah, the third brain and the thumbs. Really, like, when I saw those, I was like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the thumbs, that did it for me, too.
Yeah.
I forgot those existed. I was like, oh, my God, the thumb.
You know what mine was? And this is real showing of what early 2000s media was like.
Yeah.
When they put that thing in the microwave and then the Big Mac and McDonald's fries came out. I got so mad that I was like, Mom, why can't we have that? We got DiGiorno pizza,
That's
but it
great.
takes like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This takes like 5 seconds.
We
need to work on this.
That's great. Yeah, it was that, and then when they
The product
morph
placement.
Genius. It's crazy. When they morph the what's his name, Minion into like the four heads.
Yeah, and he has like the hands.
That image, freaked me out.
Well,
and it brought me back.
The kind of, what are they called? The wobblers or something?
Flubies?
Down.
Flubies?
Flubies.
It sounds like
Flubies?
we're swearing on air.
Fluglies. I had it written down somewhere.
They're all kind of freaky looking.
Very
I
scary.
mean, that's kind of the point.
Well, true.
Well, but it's also, it's supposed to be like, ooh, children's cartoon.
Right.
But it's like, you would only see this in 2D and not in a 3D kind of experience.
Also, I could not for the life of me place where I knew the Fugly TV host guy.
Yeah, because I know him too.
I was trying to figure it out, and I looked him up, and I literally think it's from Spy Kids. But I feel like I know that guy from somewhere. Like, he's such a predominant actor. Like,
you know what's crazy too? The Minion is Monk from the show Monk. Have any of you guys seen Monk?
No.
Oh my God!
I know
It
Monk.
was a 80s,
Okay.
80s, 90s TV show.
Yeah.
Really great. He played the main dude, and he was like in a bunch of seasons. But then I was just like, I guess when I was watching it when I was younger, I just didn't really remember. And then watching it again, I was like, oh my God, that's
Monk.
him.
I'm pretty sure he's also one of the dads of one of the main characters in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you ever seen that?
Oh my God, I think he is.
Yeah,
he is.
Oh my God,
great. That's as soon as he took the glasses off, I immediately was like, "Oh, it's that guy. I love this guy." Because I love him in the show.
Yeah, because he's fantastic.
Yeah,
oh
he's
my God,
wonderful.
he's the dad from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Oh, that's crazy.
It's great. I loved him. But so getting into the production of the film. So like we talked about a little bit, it's a 2001 film directed by ours truly. This is the sequel of the Robert Rodriguez show.
The one and only.
Robert Rodriguez. So it had a $35 million budget and it grossed 147.9 worldwide.
Whoa.
Which is a commercial success.
Yeah, so it was huge.
And it kind of, I have a note here that basically it makes sense now why Shark Boy and Lava Girl got greenlit.
Because of this?
I've now realized, yes, we couldn't believe it got greenlit because it's insane.
Yeah.
But I understand financially why they were like, if it looks the same, it's the same CGI, like production company.
Same guy.
Yeah. He's doing everything like he did on this movie. Let's give him the green light because this one made a lot of money.
And just
so it makes sense.
Mistake.
Yeah. Matt, spoiler alert.
Excuse me. 5 movies beg to differ.
Yeah,
my bad.
Or 4. I still don't know if they made 2 new ones.
I think look it up. 2 new ones. So Rodriguez, he wore multiple hats similar to Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He was the writer, director, sole editor, and I found a note where he basically said he edited the entire thing in his like home editing room in his house. But it basically was just like in his garage. Like he just edited the whole movie in his garage.
This man's just a machine.
And made $150 million.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
You guys don't do that?
I wish. And he was one of the 7 people who created the score, kind of similar to the CGI on Shark Boy.
Yeah.
And he was a producer. But,
he was.
And an interesting note, Danny Elfman, legend,
Yes, famous composer.
also did the score for this.
He did?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
He did like most of it. It was him and like another guy were like the
Kind of teamed up on Spy Kids.
I gotta
and he did a little more.
I gotta say, that beginning intro music,
Dude,
so magical. Magical.
I can't even tell you. I literally have in all caps in my notes. The opening was so epic. It was incredible.
Being from Massachusetts and mainly staying in New England my entire life, just listening to that music, I was like, I'm in a tropical paradise right now.
Yep. It's incredible. And it also, the film scored a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes to this day.
Let's go.
No, it does not.
I swear,
Hang on, I'm double checking. There's no way.
Give that a clap.
It's insane.
That's awesome.
To this day, this is what, 22 years later, and it has a 93%.
I don't believe you. Is it possible?
Let's see.
A timeless classic,
roll,
if you will.
Okay, Spy Kids. There's so many Spy Kids. Okay.
Oh, no, I
There's
know.
only 4. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay, there you go. 93, right?
93.
93.
Though weirdly, audience scores 47.
Which makes no sense. I mean, it
Audience-
probably makes sense to you guys,
Excuse
because I think judging from the energy in the room, I think I like this a lot more than you guys.
Well,
No, I
we'll
like
get to
it.
that. We'll get to that.
I just, okay.
So Rodriguez kind of here we go. Here's the quote. So he made a name for himself in the world of children's entertainment with this film, and when pitching it, he said that he wanted, quote unquote, a product that felt like it was written, directed, and produced by a kid. So this is where it all started.
Yeah.
This is the whole Shark Boy and Lava Girl thing.
Yep.
It started with Spy Kids, and then that became successful, and he tried to create a separate franchise with Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and it just fell flat.
Oh, it was
He had 4
horrendous,
movies
yeah.
on this side and one movie on the other. And then some of the designs, such as the thumbs, the legendary thumbs,
Which is very Shark Boy and Lava Girl
I will
esque.
keep coming back to. They
In
were
my dreams,
drawings.
haunting
They were
me.
actually specific drawings that Rodriguez did as a kid. And he found these drawings, I swear to God. And he found these drawings and he was like, I'm going to implement these into the movie. And that's why they exist. That's why they look like
weird
that. He was
kid.
like, I'm going to make a thumb, but
And like
5 of them.
And he put him in like a red tracksuit? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Respectfully, I thought it was a weird trip experience he had and said,
Yeah, that's
oh,
what I
dude, my
thought.
hand. What if I just had thumbs?
That's what all his movies feel like, are these weird trips.
Right.
And every time you watch it, it takes so much out of you every time. We gotta stop picking Robert Rodriguez for this show.
We're ending it with the
Just
trilogy.
don't you
We have
dare.
to do-
Don't you dare.
No, dude. We have to do 3D because that's like the crux of this whole show. So this whole movie was shot in 48 days, mostly in Austin, Texas, on sound stages.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. But some of the exterior shots, including that like sweeping intro shot with the epic music, were shot in South America. So some of the exteriors were shot in South America, but mostly in Austin, Texas, over the course of 48 days. Which makes sense considering the budget.
Yep.
48 days. That's pretty impressive to get.
Yeah, only 2 months.
Solid of a movie.
Right. Well, I think a lot of his stuff is the like, quote unquote, like new technology for CGI
like at the time.
Yeah, which again, it's very early 2000s, and that's kind of why we keep going back to Rodriguez, because that look is exactly like what our child.
Yeah.
Like, movies don't look like this anymore.
Exactly.
We're good.
I look at the new stuff, and I'm just like, it's not choppy.
No.
It's not. It's like watching new SpongeBob episodes, and I'm like, I want that grainy
Looks too clean
kind
for
of
me.
look to it.
And this is great. Along with Danny Elfman, another man by the name of John Debney did most of the score.
Okay.
And he's worked mostly in kids movies, but most recently he did the score for 80 for Brady.
Let's
No
go!
way! It's our favorite movie.
When I clicked on this guy's like IMDb and this most recent credit was 80 for Brady, I almost threw my computer across the room. I was losing my mind.
Wait, for those who don't know, we have to describe what 80 for Brady is.
Yeah.
Because this is a movie
Go
me
ahead.
and Nick. Okay, I'm going to try. So, this is a movie me and Nick were so hyped to watch. I think we went opening day.
We
got popcorn. We
Oh
went
my
all the
god!
way.
Of course, you guys
We were
went
so
opening
into
day.
So my memory of that movie is it's 4 elderly women.
Yes, all Oscar winners. By the way.
Yeah, which is bananas. And the whole plot is that they just want to go to the Patriots Super Bowl game because they're in love with Tom Brady. That's the whole movie, right?
That's exactly
And it's
it.
based off of a true story,
Yeah, it's
right?
based off the real
Yeah.
Super Bowl where the Patriots were down the whole thing and they won like in the last 10 minutes or
It
something.
was also based on the ladies were like based on real people.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's
Literally.
true.
At the end,
Yeah,
you
they
find
were
that
actually
out.
elders.
Which I didn't know that. I don't know why they didn't promote that as like
'cause
based
it's
on
kind
a
of a
true
cool
story.
Well, no,
fact.
they,
Yeah.
I thought they did.
Or did they? They
I
might
mean,
have.
maybe on a poster at least.
Yeah,
but
I didn't watch.
Was that
any
someone
of
who
the
owns
promotion. No, I don't know.
you just saw the title and it was just like, this is for me. This is my
As
shtick.
someone who has 20 copies of that poster, Stewart, it's not on there, okay? 10 of those are signed, thank you.
Oh my god. By me.
Yeah.
Just
By
me.
They're all
Tom
forged.
Brady.
Yeah.
Just random Bostonians.
Yeah. But so that's the guy who did the score. Him and Danny Elfman. What
Which
a
is the
dynamic
strangest
duo.
combo, because Danny Elfman's one of the most famous composers of all time. He did like the Batman theme song for the Michael Keaton
He
movie.
did all of Nightmare Before Christmas.
There you
He's
go,
the
yeah.
voice of Jack Skellington. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, he composed it and he was the voice of Jack Skellington.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you know how much I love that movie, so I
We'll do that one day,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I am learning so much. This is awesome. Make sure you tune in, guys, every week to this new knowledge.
This new useless knowledge.
Dude, it's my favorite. It's my favorite part of the week. I love it. And supposedly it was the last movie shot on film. For like they actually shot this on film. No, I'm sorry, for Rodriguez.
Okay.
And supposedly he went to Skywalker Ranch and George Lucas introduced him to the wonders of digital cinema.
No, there's no way. There's no way
swear
that's
to
true.
God.
Oh, because the prequels were going on at this point.
That's exactly what I've written down here, is that this is during the period of drunk George Lucas. So he was just probably talking to him and was just like, listen.
He's making those
It's just new
crazy
stuff, right?
movies.
And he's making episode 1 while this is going on. Or maybe episode 2 at this point.
Because episode 1, I think, was 99.
99, I think, yeah. And maybe he was fresh off of 2, because I'm pretty sure 2 is 2001.
I believe so.
And then some dude comes in with Spy Kids.
Exactly. and then he's like, listen, you gotta make the thumbs in digital cinema. We can't have it be practical, baby. This is new.
Did you see Jar Jar look great?
Everyone loves him. Don't worry. But yeah, and then just a general note, as always, because I always say this every episode, the CGI.
Yeah.
CGI, in my opinion, I think this is an objective view, but it's not good.
No.
But
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah, exactly. No, but it's not as noticeable as Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Mainly because
true.
it's not just the sheer volume. There's not as much of it.
The Shark Boy and Lava Girl was shot entirely just on a green screen set. Like there was no real thing
The
whatsoever.
actors were CGI too.
Yeah.
Taylor
They were not
Lautner
real
isn't
people.
real.
Yeah. But this one you could tell there were sets and they built things.
Are they just filmed out in public in cities or this, that, and the other?
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I have for production. So we're done with that.
I gotta be honest, it sounds familiar.
It
We've been
definitely
down
sounds
this road with
familiar.
Robert
Yeah.
before.
And somehow, and maybe it was and we'll get more into this when we talk plot, which we'll do next. But I think it's just because of the CGI, there's less of it that I engaged more with this. There was less moments for me to take a step back and be like, actually, what am I looking at?
That's
like,
that's
for
fair.
real, Robert, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, it blew
They
my
had
mind.
a couple of moments towards, because the end is all in the big castle.
Oh yeah, the end. It's
and then it all goes to
crazy.
that kind of Sharpo Lava
Sure.
Girl, Robert Rodriguez
But
effect.
for the most part, it holds up.
It looks
as
like an
far
actual
as-
film.
Yeah, which is nice. I think that's also why. Also, and I think this is more prevalent in the 3D, like the third one, the sequel.
Best one.
And I think the reason for that, and I wanted to bring it up this episode because it reminded me of how I felt about the actress who played Carmen when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This, I think, was, and again, this is more prevalent in 3D. I think I fell in love with her during that movie. But I had the biggest crush on this girl.
Did you really?
I think it was my first ever crush.
Was
ever.
Carmen from Spy Kids?
Yes.
See, I had a crush on the
was
mom.
in love with her. Oh my God.
Mom is gorgeous.
Let's go. I'm glad you said it, Pelton, not me.
We were all thinking it, right?
Dude, but by the time, and again, I'll get into this in the 3D episode, but by the time I got to that movie, I was like, I am in love with this girl.
You found your future wife.
Yes.
Yeah, you were done.
And I think I just had to bring it up now because rewatching it this morning, I was like, I remember watching this and being like, I love her. And it's a crazy thing.
You know what's crazy though? I was looking, watching it this time through. I realized how mean she is.
Yeah, she
to her
bullies
brother.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's
brutal.
bad.
Yeah.
Just like the kid's just tried.
I know.
Just tried to do his best, and she's
not
just like, "You're dumb,
Butterfingers,
wart finger,
At one
little
point,
weirdo."
She literally ditches him at one point.
Yeah.
And then she says, I thought I ditched you.
because it was the robot.
It was the robot
version.
kid.
Yeah.
So jumping off that, let's go into the plot.
Okay.
Because there's a lot here. I have probably some of the most notes on plot just for this movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a lot that
record
happens.
Just
breaking.
I'm gonna
because,
be honest.
well,
There's so
only
much.
because there's just so much that happens and I wanted to make little notes on it that there's just
Yeah.
So obviously, like we said, we start off with the epic music, and just the swinging in shot up to their house, right? Which do they live like on the coast? Like, do they live? They live in like a mansion
Yeah, no, it's like wicked fancy.
on the coast, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And they go to a private school.
Yeah, they're like filthy rich.
Oh,
I was just looking at the interior of. They live in a castle. It's
Yeah, they do.
insane.
They literally have like a indoor courtyard and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god.
So like, how did we ever, as kids, just be like, yeah, that makes sense.
And then-
People
and-
live
Checks out.
there.
And then those kids get so grumpy about this
Yeah.
simplest of things, and I'm like, bro,
It's
what are you talking
They
about?
have instant McDonald's. They have nothing to be complaining about.
Exactly.
But yeah, so then it basically starts out with the mom telling our two main characters, the kids, Junie and Carmen, a story about two spies who fell in love. Basically, she's telling a story about her and her husband, or their parents, and the kids don't know they're spies yet.
Somehow.
Right. And basically, in the backstory, her mission was to kill the dad, and his mission was to kill her. That's what it seemed
Yeah,
like.
they
from-
both
were
had
trying to
like
kill each
pictures
other.
of it,
Yeah.
whatever. Seems like they were working for the same agency, and they were kind of like double crossed and all this junk. And they fell in love, and at
Good
their
way to describe
wedding,
the movie.
yeah, and at their wedding, they were attacked by the agency that they betrayed.
Yeah, that double
Yeah.
cross. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they jumped off like was it like a cliff?
Yeah,
or a
I
bridge
jumped
or
off a
something?
cliff.
No, even
And then
better
they
though.
had the heart parachutes.
Yeah.
Even
Which were
better,
great.
right before they started running, there's like 8 CGI helicopters going through this whole area, and none of them like really do any like
They're just
serious.
flying
They're just
by.
flying
Yeah.
around.
They're just a sense
And
of
then,
danger.
like, as they're running to the cliffside, there's just a helicopter, like a
Oh,
military
yeah.
helicopter following them. They wouldn't have made it to the cliffside.
What do you mean? They're spies.
yeah,
Super spies.
they run fast. What are you talking about?
They got Nikes on, dog.
What's the
Sponsor.
problem?
But yeah, so then they settle down, they have kids, and then this is where we find out they have retired from spy
Yeah.
work.
Now, already, I have multiple questions.
Yeah.
So they jump off a cliff and land perfectly into a boat, and
Yep.
they drive away. And after they just try to get killed by assumingly the government,
Yep.
they just retire.
Yeah.
No one ever comes after them.
Well,
no problem.
They don't necessarily retire. They're consultants, right?
For what?
For like the agencies. That's what it seems like.
Is that what they do? They consult other secret agents?
Because then they like after the bedtime story, the mom comes into the bedroom with the father, and then they're on their own separate desk sides.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
then they're
true.
just like beep boop boop bop, and then just like these cool screens and this, that, and the
Secret
other.
Service logo comes up.
Exactly, because the parents say that they're accountants or something.
Yeah,
like they
Is
do.
that their excuse?
That's their excuse that they're accountants, and that's why they got money.
But like, what did they do to deserve the fact that they were gonna die? Like the government's like, hey, we need you to kill this person.
Well, because
so clearly something. Yeah, something must have gone horribly wrong here.
So they weren't they weren't in the same agency. They were in two separate agencies. And then they were tasked to go. I don't know if you could say. Can you say kill?
Sure.
All right. To go
Try
kill
to
each
stop
other.
us, WECV.
Oh, please.
They're trying to get at each other, and then they're like, but love conquers all. And then
But again, how does the agency be like, it's all good, it's cool? Like that's crazy to me.
It's one of those things where you just kind of have to write it off as they needed to get this backstory in.
Yeah.
And it makes sense while you're questioning it, but it's just one of those things where you're just like, well, they're agents, so they have to go kill people. And it just so happens that they're going to go kill each other. And then they fall in love.
Classic Rodriguez.
It's just a job. It's a job,
holes.
just like plumbing, like being a teacher. It's all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then we find out that Carmen's been skipping school, and Junie basically has no friends.
Yeah,
so that's what we learn about. That's what we learn about. Well, that's basically what we learn about the kids through their dialogue in the beginning. And then they basically find out that their like government boss guy, we don't really know who he is, but it's basically like their like homie is missing.
They're tight.
He's gone. Yeah,
hey,
they're tight.
my boss, he's my homie.
Yeah, he's gone. He's missing. They don't know where he's going.
Yeah,
and the dad is considering
going back into
the game.
Because also, isn't this one of a couple disappearances at this point?
Yes.
It's like number
4 or something.
The CSS agents have this, they're called.
Uh-oh.
And it's just labeled as
Certified Secret Service.
Nice.
That's the CSS, baby. So then they're driving their kids to school, right? And Junie is watching this show. And the dad hates the show. He's basically
despises it.
Yeah, he hates it. It's this dude. We kind of talked on it a little bit before, but it's this dude with a bunch of these like little monster things, and it's just like a kid's show, whatever.
But it's really fun.
It is very fun.
It's really cute.
Also incredibly frightening.
It's freaky and fun. What are you talking about?
All right. I think it was fun and kind of cool. And I think the dad was being a jerk, being like, you can't have creativity.
Well, yeah,
You're a Cortez.
The dad was going too hard. Because I remember even the kid like did a drawing. The dad looked at it. He's like, this is ugly.
Which comes into play later.
And it was a solid drawing.
Yeah, I thought, you know what?
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty solid.
Better than anything I've done recently. But so he notices that the government guy that he's looking for, or like his friend, his boss, his homie, it looks kind of similar to the new character that they just introduced.
Which, by the way, he doesn't at all.
Not even, maybe the eyes, but other than that, like
no
they're
similarity.
stretching. It is a big stretch. But then they drop their kids off at school, and the dad kind of daydreams about how he wants to be a hero for his son. But I made a note about this because I thought it was so funny. When he like takes off his glasses in the daydream, puts them in, it just launches the guy into the window and just shatters. And I just thought that was great.
And then all the kids were cheering.
Yeah, and they come around him and they like give him all a hug. And he's like going around, and then it just cuts back.
That's how I knew it was fake in all honesty.
Yeah. As soon as that started, I was like, okay.
Well, I did have a moment. Again, it's a classic Robert Rodriguez moment because that scene was going on. And I was like, there's no way this is real. I was like, however, this is Robert Rodriguez, so this could totally be happening.
Yeah, it was all the kids sitting on that school stoop or whatever, just going, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta love them,
right? You gotta love them. But yeah, so then there's like a hard cut to the lair of Mr. Floop, which is the guy who is the host of the TV show.
Yes.
So we find out that he's this big bad villain guy, or so we think, who's been capturing these special agents and turning them into characters for his TV show. And basically he steals their brain power and puts them into these robotic children, which are called spy kids. And I wanted to mention that because I, forever, until today, did not realize that the reason the movie is called Spy Kids, it's a double entendre. It's them and the actual kids of the spies.
Yeah.
I always just assumed it was, I mean, obviously
kids
it's
of
the
the
main
spies.
characters. Yeah, sure. But it is interesting that they, sorry.
So professional.
Make
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think this is the first cough I've ever had.
I think I cough every episode.
Yeah,
This is your
every
first
3 minutes.
one.
But it is interesting because I just never knew that.
Yeah, well,
about
I remember
the
because again, I haven't
robot
seen this
kids.
movie since I was maybe 2. So they said like the robot kids come out and like, what do we call them? He goes like Spy Kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Right.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, because
Like-
they're spying on basically like the big like plot is they're stealing these like secret agents' brain power, putting them into these robots. And these robots are like you can morph them into whatever you want them to look like, which comes into play later. And basically the bad guys want them to go into like big government officials' houses and like spy on them.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Because-
they have like the prime minister's kid. They replicate him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, one thing I gotta say, and this is my favorite thing ever while I'm watching a movie.
Okay.
Is when they say the title of the movie in the movie.
Isn't this
As
the
soon as
best?
they said Spy Kids, I was just like,
Yeah.
they did it! They said it!
It's the titular line.
I will say the villain's plan, like on paper, is not a bad idea.
No, it's pretty great.
Yeah, like in
It
a
was
universe
good
where you
idea.
could like make kids that look like actual kids,
Yeah.
like just taking over world leaders like that is genius.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, like I don't now having said that, why they did it in the form of a children's television show? Do
No
they
clue.
ever explain why that
I don't
happened?
think so.
They kind of do, but I don't know if we want to explain that until like later on towards the end or
Sure.
not.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
we can
yeah,
get
well,
around
yeah.
to it. If I don't bring it up, just remind me.
Like I said, I freshly watched it, so it's just like
Yeah.
everything's like right
Burning in
there.
yeah.
I watched it this morning. I forgot all of it. So that's perfect.
How can you forget such a masterpiece? All right.
But yeah, so moving right along, the dad accepts the assignment to find the agents that are missing, and the mom comes with, right?
Yeah.
She kind of argues with him, but then she ends up going with him. And the kids are basically to be looked after by their Uncle Felix, who we find
Uncle in
out
quotes.
later is not their actual
Yeah.
uncle. Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Well, this is really stupid, but something that I realized when they were getting ready, the parents getting ready to leave, and he was in that full black outfit and that tight black shirt. Dilf. Respectfully.
Now that will get us in trouble.
Yeah.
But we just can't say what that acronym stands for.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But so the parents drive their car off the road into the water, which I thought was spectacular. That wide shot, like the eagle eye view of them just driving off the road and just splashing into the water. I loved it. It was amazing. And they're chased by Mr. Floop, and they're eventually captured. They basically are like, man, we don't have it anymore. This stinks.
Immediately they make the mistake. It's game over.
They immediately get captured, and then we
in
hard
2
cut.
seconds.
But so there's a red alert in the house, right?
Right.
Their parents get captured. The whole house, their mansion,
Big deal.
their giga complex is shutting down. And then that's when we find out Felix isn't the uncle, and the parents are spies. So the kid's like, he's like, dude, I have a lot to tell you. I don't know why it's me that's telling you, but I have a lot to tell
And
you.
I got 30 seconds until. Wait, hold this. I got to run real quick.
And the kids escape, but they're chased because the Thumb-Thumbs are like in the house. They're
Now
like,
at this point they're disguised though.
Are they?
Yeah, because they're in the whole. They have the black ski mask. So it's very now that we're
The
older. It's very obvious.
The
that they're-
CGI was still there. It's not like
Right,
they
exactly.
used
I was
like
gonna
some
say the
kind of
form.
dummy. Yeah.
No,
tell
you
that
can
it's
clearly
just
tell it's the thumb, but
Thumbs as every body.
it's everything.
But yeah, so they eventually escape the Thumb-Thumbs, and Felix doesn't escape, right?
I don't
He like
think so.
sacrifices himself.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
like,
think he survives the
"Go."
movie.
No, he doesn't.
think he does.
He goes to the living room to grab like other random stuff while they're breaking in, and then he's just like, "Well, I guess I just gotta,
This is the end now.
just like,
All right.
guess I gotta stay here."
He's in the movie for like 30 seconds.
I kept waiting for him to come at the end of the big fight, and he just never comes back. Like the Thumb-Thumbs, I think, killed this man.
Great. Yeah.
Well, he-
slaughtered.
I think he shows up in the third Spy Kids movie, though.
No way.
I'm fairly certain.
Next week.
We're gonna have to bring you back for that episode.
Please.
But yeah, so the court we find so they make it to the safe house. to the family safe house.
Which doesn't look like. Remember on the outside, it's all like crummy.
Right. But so then we find out that the Cortez parents, they're locked up in Floop's lair. And they manage to escape because the mom has a laser in her ring. She kind of cuts the... Yeah, Floop is like the funniest term.
It's just... the
funniest name.
I feel we're going to get in trouble for saying Floop, but it's...
No,
it's nothing we can do. Yeah, it's just his name.
I just like how he said Floop's lair.
I'm sure I'll say it again because it's in my notes a bunch. Because that's the only way I can refer to this place. Some castle in like the middle of the water.
I know, it's
just too
weird.
complicated to be like that place. It's
the
just
castle.
Floop's lair.
It just sounds so weird. Like, if I was walking down the street, so I was like, "Shut up, you Floop!" I'd be like, "What? Excuse me?"
But so then they end up once they escape like the ropes. They go into what's called the virtual room. And they get captured again. So basically, it's this big like green screen, blue screen room where I think they filmed the TV show.
Yeah,
but it can basically morph into anything, and so you don't really know where you're going.
You're trapped.
Like your entire environment can be changed at any given moment.
So again, they do just get kidnapped again. So
it's
almost
a lot of my notes are basically they escape and then they get captured again. But here's how. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. And then they watch Felix get turned into one of like the characters for Floop's show, which is so sad. R.I.P. Felix.
R.I.P. Felix. He never gets cured.
And then the kids, we see they prepare to be spies. And I made a note on this because I thought the joke had me like I had to rewind it like 3 times because the delivery on this was amazing. I thought it was so funny. Where Junie puts the glasses on, and then he says, "Ew, gross." And then Carmen's like, "What do you see?" And he says, "You." And I thought that was like, it's so simple. And I just for some reason, didn't see it coming. And when he said "you," I was like crying laughing.
But that is such a great burn.
It's so it is, isn't it? And like props to Robert Rodriguez for putting that in. Though I will say, the way he writes dialogue for kids is spectacular, aside from the movie looking atrocious. I thought it was well done all of them. Like across the board, I think he does a fairly
I think it's crazy how like realistic, like it seems like a kid wrote this.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like respectfully, not saying it's like bad, but it's just like it sounds like a bunch of kids at a round table. One of them chain smoking a cigarette, being like, "All right, we gotta write this kids movie, right?"
That's true. It does sound like kids. I don't know if I would go as far as say it's good dialogue.
I think it's good dialogue for children.
Yeah, it does what it's trying to do. I just don't know if you should try to do that.
This is not supposed to be peak cinema.
No, yeah, of course. But if you're writing for a kid, it shouldn't be anything more than like, "You're stupid."
Well,
you know what I mean?
true,
like what were we talking like as kids? Not like this, that's for sure.
I was.
You know what I mean? Well,
I was like, "Good morning."
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of us were definitely above intelligence. We were having this conversation at 7.
Yeah.
But for the average kid, that's not us.
I remember being 7, but I think Robert Rodriguez is overrated, personally.
We were just film nerds way back then. But yeah, so then a lady comes into the safe house pretending to be a CSS agent.
Right.
Certified Secret Service.
Now, okay, I have a question. Because again, as people who listen to the show know, I barely do any research for these, and I make Nick do all of it. So
I love, by the way. Don't ever think it's a burden.
Don't change.
I watched the movie this morning, and I could be wrong, because I still don't know.
Okay.
But the fake agent, is that world-renowned Maria Menounos?
If it is,
like the girl in front of every movie theater,
Emerson alum.
Emerson alum. That's true.
If it is, I'm putting this on my top 5 movies of all time.
Who did you say it was?
Maria Menounos.
They're not popping up in the cast.
Maybe it isn't.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say
I couldn't tell, but I was like, oh my god, is that?
If it was, I would have lost my mind.
Right?
Because I love her. And I think she's hysterical because she's just there.
In every single movie. She's always there.
Yeah, always.
I don't, now that Stewart's looked it up, I don't believe it's her. Okay, she's not appearing in the cast.
But yeah, so she comes into the house and turns out she's working for Floop. Oh no.
Uh-oh. Who isn't, by the way?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of the twist is everyone's working for Floop.
And then they steal what's called the third brain. That's basically like the jewel of this.
That's the MacGuffin of the whole movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he wants the third brain to power the spy kids, the robots.
Yeah.
To make them smart.
Because and then they can take over pretty much everything.
Exactly. Yeah. But the crux of it is like they're not smart right now because
they're just wicked strong and they know how to fight.
Their
this,
brains
that, and the
aren't
other,
like fully there, and
they can't speak
like
right?
gibberish. Yeah. And one of the bad guys kind of takes the third brain and escapes with a jetpack, which is awesome. I thought.
I forgot jetpacks were even in this. I swear I watched this.
Yeah,
today.
I have a note, and I don't remember exactly why I wrote this down. I think it was the combination of him leaving with the jetpack and then the action scene that happens right after that.
The jetpack fight chase. Yeah.
I just wrote in all caps, this movie is epic. Like, I had so much fun. Like, with the action sequences with I think it was mainly the score, but the score mixed with, like, the cool spy stuff, I was like, this is so cool. Compared to some of the movies we've seen, I was like, the action stuff is great.
Dude,
I'll save my comments to the end.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What? Might I say it was that action sequence with all the jetpacks? Because, like, Carmen's doing her own thing, you know, really taking charge of the whole situation, being the older sister and trying to save the world. And she's doing a bunch of cool stuff with the jetpacks, ends up grabbing the brain too.
Yeah.
But it's even funnier too because Junie is kind of like just trying his best.
Yeah, he really is. He's like, I have these warts and I'm just here.
But not once does he ever like complain.
No,
like he's such
great.
an angel of a kid. I feel so bad.
I also saw the actor at the Tonight Show, and he's like the nicest guy ever. Yeah.
Wait, why was he on the Tonight Show?
Because his wife is Meghan Trainor. I don't know if you knew that.
That's right.
What?
That's right.
Yeah.
I did not
so
know
Meghan
that.
Trainor was on to premiere her that new song that's on TikTok. I don't know. But she premiered that, and he was there, just kind of like hanging out, like as her husband.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Did
and
he
was
get
just
to talk
hanging
to
out.
him or no?
He was like said what's up, but he seemed like a really nice guy. I watched him
cool.
interact with a couple people, and he was like, he seemed super nice.
For those who don't know, Nick did internship at the Tonight Show.
Yes,
Last semester.
last semester.
Yeah,
Okay. Fall of 2022.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, and then I have another note here. We can touch on this briefly because we're running out of time. But the Dream My Dream song that Floop sings in the green screen studio is just the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. I can say that probably without question. I thought I was like losing my mind when I saw it. Like, it's so brief, but I was like, this is bananas. This is crazy.
I remember when that scene hit, because I watched this movie today, but I woke up early to watch it because I just was busy the rest of the day. So I woke up, watched it in bed. And when that scene hit, I thought I fell back asleep. I was having like a nightmare about this movie. I was like, there's no way.
I wouldn't call that a nightmare, bro.
I would call it a daydream.
It was a daydream. It opened up my third eye. My chakras were aligned when I heard his singing.
And yeah, so then they steal the like Stewart said, they steal the third brain back. They have this whole action sequence. And then they eventually make it back to, I think it's like their school, and then they get ambushed by the Spy Kids version of them.
Right.
It's like the robot version.
Yeah.
This is one of two interactions where they're kind of facing off one-on-one. And they get like utterly defeated.
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
And then they steal the brain back. It's a constant back and forth. Like, they get captured, they escape. They steal the brain back, they steal the brain back.
It's almost like confusing to talk about it because you got to remember where you are.
It's the same thing
yeah.
over and over. Yeah, which is difficult. Yeah, trying to be like, hey guys, I know that they just escaped capture, but they got captured again and then escaped again. So it's a nightmare. But yeah, and then we find out that the dad actually, Mr. Cortez, is that his name,
I believe so. Yeah.
He made the brain, the third brain.
Yes.
And he was told to destroy it, but he didn't.
He pocketed it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Destroyed a walnut.
I was gonna say, there was a walnut, which is pretty
A
funny.
walnut.
And then, enter Danny Trejo.
Right?
Oh, so amazing.
Dude, that entrance, oh my God.
How is this possible?
He's just tinkering on a little gadget,
It
too.
was
and
great. Yeah, it was the what was it, like the
camera
camera in the
finger,
world.
yeah.
He said, I don't see it. Well, it sees you.
Yeah. It's great. I remembered him being in the third one.
Oh,
I forgot
he
he was in the first. Right? He's in the third one?
I'm pretty sure, he comes in.
Because like the whole family comes
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I got it.
That's why I think the uncle comes the
the
fake
family
uncle
one.
comes
Yeah,
back in the
yeah.
third one. Yeah.
But yeah, and I kind of remember him being in this one, but when he entered the screen, I was like, this is amazing.
Well, they had a picture of him at the wedding. And I was,
Yeah.
at the time, I saw the picture and I was like, oh, maybe he just wasn't like a big actor yet. So it was just like a weird thing. Like, oh, that's Danny Trejo. And then they go to like, what is it, like a workshop or something. It's like a store. And he's in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does Robert keep doing this? How does he keep getting these actors?
It's insane. And this was like one of his first like big movies.
Yeah.
Crazy the cast that he got for this.
Well, especially this little end cameo we'll get to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, we find out that Mr. Minion turns out to be the big bad.
Yeah.
And once he gets the once he gets the third brain, he's kind of like, I don't need Mr. Floop anymore.
I gotta say, my favorite part about him being revealed as the villain, all he does is takes off his glasses.
He's evil.
And now he's
like,
evil.
No way, you can see.
You can see this whole time.
I wish I could do that. Just take my glasses off and just turn evil and also be able to see. That would be great.
But they made it so intense, and he was just
So
like,
intense.
I'm now just the bad guy.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me is I didn't realize who the actor was until he took off his glasses.
Same.
So it's almost more effective.
Really?
Like it was effective because I didn't know who he was, and then he took off his glasses, and I was like,
I
oh my
recognize
God.
him. Yeah.
It was like if Clark Kent, that actually worked. It like worked on me. I was like, oh my God, like this guy's crazy. But yeah, so then he locks Floop in the virtual room, and his ultimate plan is to plant these spy kids in the world leaders' homes and attain a bunch of information for whatever reason.
Kind of a good plan.
It is great plan. But so then the kids get equipped, with spy stuff from Mr. Trejo. I don't even remember his name.
Just Mr. Trejo.
It's Mr. Trejo. And they try to convince him to come with, but he kind of just says like, nah, pish
I hate my
posh.
brother.
This guy sucks.
Yeah.
And then the kids crash land their plane into the water outside of Floop's palace. And just very quickly, they are literally Tom Cruise. Like in that plane sequence, it's like meant for one person. There's two of them, and both their wings get chopped off. They're like, I don't know how they piloted this and like perfectly landed. And then there's the whole sequence where they're underwater and they try and like evade the sharks, but also the security cameras.
Yeah, 'cause there's a bunch of
They
cameras.
sneak into the lair. They fight off the thumbs. They attain the information on where their parents are, and they realize that the monsters from the show actually speak backwards. So they he records it, he plays it in reverse as Junie, and then he kind of finds out where his parents are.
Which how that was not discovered before.
And also,
have no
I don't know
idea.
how they figured it out.
Oh yeah, that too.
They just randomly were just like,
Didn't someone just flip
backwards.
it?
No, because I believe it was like the weird theme song or whatever.
Yeah, and they
played in
flipped it.
reverse. Was just like, help us, we're
Help-
being captured. Help us, we're being
Why
captured.
would
I picked
someone
up on
play
that.
that in
Wow.
reverse in the first place?
I forget where it was introduced at the beginning, but it was. I think it was when the husband and wife were like going
Trying to
over
figure it all
material
out.
and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we find out that Alexander Minion is his full name. This is the big bad, the real big bad. And he was part of the OSS and he helped with the third brain, but he got kicked out because he was trying to inject his own ideas into it. And then Junie kind of finds out that Floop isn't to blame because he goes into the virtual room and he like has a conversation.
Floop just
with him.
likes making children's television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they team up.
Which is like, why is he participating with like government secrets?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's a really good
And also,
question.
if he's just a normal guy, why does he live in this castle?
Yeah.
It's
Why is
crazy.
even? I think it is implied he made the Spy Kids.
Yeah.
Like he did a lot of bad
He
things.
was like, but I never wanted to.
I think
like,
it,
what?
it gives Willy Wonka vibes.
kinda does.
yeah, big
That's what
time.
I was thinking as soon as I saw him. But then
Yeah.
the whole castle thing, I was like, all right.
So kind of wrapping up here, Junie finds out. Oh, I'm sorry, we already went to that. So they help their parents escape, and we find out the dad is turned into what we call a foogly.
Yep.
That
Again,
Junie
feels like
drew.
a
That's
slur.
the drawing
Yeah.
that he hated in the beginning.
Yeah.
He gets turned into that monster.
Take that, Dad.
Yeah. And
Stick
then
it to the
it's
man.
like immediately reversed. So again, it's just
Yeah,
this
it's
constant
exactly.
back and forth. And then they turn the minion into a foogly. This is great. And then Lisp, this guy named, is it just Mr. Lisp, I think? He's like
Yeah.
the real big bad. There's like so many
It's just-
reveals of the big bad.
Doesn't
He
end.
arrives and he gathers the newly smart, spy kids.
Yep.
Because he puts the third brain into them or whatever. To fight the Cortez family. And then Danny Trejo.
He busted through
Makes
the window.
coolest entrance, I think, in cinematic history. He busts through this window. Dude, I had chills. He busted through the window. The music was epic. They were like, we need 5. And then oh my God, it's so cool.
Straight up goosebumps.
Yeah, crazy.
Everywhere when I saw that.
And then Floop reprograms the kids and they take down the villains. So he reprograms the spy kids and then they take down the villains. And then at the very end, we get a cameo from one George Clooney.
Which
is insane that they got him for this, but it's kind of setting up the next movie, and they're like, we're all about family, and then Vin Diesel comes in. But
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, and they're basically like, if you want, because George Clooney is like, we want the
kids.
Yeah, Junie and Carmen, but then Junie's like, nah, if you want us, you want all of us. And then it ends, which is great. So final thoughts. Do either of you want to start?
Stewart, you want to start it with final thoughts?
Sure. I think it was very interesting too. Like the dynamic that the brothers had was really reflective of what the brother and sister were going through. Where it's just like, because I'm blanking on his name, Machete. What?
Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Trejo. Danny Trejo's character was the older brother, or is the older brother, and he kept on going on about, it was like, oh, I always had to help him with this and make sure he was safe and blah 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 blah. And then Carmen was kind of reflecting that too, and I was just like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
Movie's very smart.
Yeah. So did you like this movie?
Oh, I loved it. It was weird watching it again, because I remember like thinking the CGI was awesome growing up.
Yeah.
And then rewatching it, and you're just like, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
But you liked it overall.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Helen, what did you think?
Okay, I will say, this has happened every single week, not including Boy Who Cried a Werewolf, which ironically is the lost episode.
Yeah.
Where you especially always like the movie way more than I do. And this happened last week with Kermit, too. You and Jonah liked it.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan. Once again, I did not like this movie at all. I struggled.
Gotcha.
Now, compared to the other Robert movie, Shark Boy, this is way better.
Okay, yeah.
Like, out of all the movies we've seen, this is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I liked it. I don't think I'd ever watch it again.
Yeah. I think my level of liking the movies is also still relative, because I don't necessarily like the movies in general, but I think I just like certain moments more than you.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
kind of where it ends.
Yeah.
I will say, Kermit Swamp Beers, I actually enjoyed.
You see that? I wasn't a huge fan.
I actually enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I liked
the
it.
Moments...
I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
That's
6 out of 10.
Crazy.
Maybe 6. Maybe 5. But
okay.
Now you're in my territory.
No, maybe 6. Maybe 6. Probably 6.
I would give it around a 6 too. I think as far as like how it's aged, I think it's aged very interestingly. It's like a time capsule of early 2000s perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I think when you said, what's this thing at 93 or something ridiculous, I think when it came out, I could see it being why it got reviewed so well. But I think watching it now, I don't think it aged well at all. I think now watching it, you're like, oh, this is almost silly. Like, this is not good.
That's the whole point of it. It's a silly children's movie.
In my opinion, I think I liked it because, in contrast to that, I think everything holds up about it except the CGI.
Really?
I think the CGI, and then sometimes like the constant, like they escape, they get, like the back and forth of it. I thought it was a cool concept. I thought the villain was cool-ish. And then I thought the actors were great. I thought it was very cool. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good watch. Compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah, especially compared to some of the other ones.
It's still obviously not the best movie in the world.
No.
But a cool childhood thing. So anyways, final thought about this movie. I can't believe this got greenlit. Anyways, thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Stewart, for being our guest.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
It was a delight. It was awesome, and I can't wait to come back again.
Spy Kids
talk
3D.
about Spy Kids 3D.